Tyler, Kaimi, me, myself, and Justyna, with Ryan and Tyler leading our efforts on the business front. Me and Kaimi focusing on product with help of one designer, and Justyna leading our efforts on the development on the engineering side, which includes one security team consisting of 3 engineers, team lead and 2 developers, and 2 development teams of total headcount of 8 people. So that's the team that's currently focusing entirely on the protocol development and on the related stuff, and what we've been up to recently. So first of all, structured credit vaults. You've probably heard announcements about that in the institutional upgrade blog post. So we have been working on a lot on the first structured products for TrueFi. Most of the code is already in place. So for those who don't know, just gonna reiterate the basics. So the structured products are portfolios that are gonna have 3 tranches with low risk, mid risk, and high risk, with fixed interest for the first 2 and variable interest for the most risky one. There is going to be a dedicated capital formation period for the whole thing. So the manager will be able to kickstart the portfolio when the proper amount of capital is there, and cancel the whole operation if there is not enough interest. And everything is going to have a very high level of customization, both around the sizes, requirements of the sort of safety, around the tranche ratios, around the APYs, so on and so forth. And we believe that this is super important product to deliver, because it's going to be a source of organically high yield in DeFi, because the low risk fixed interest tranche is going to provide leverage for the high risk variable interest lenders. And this is something I think very unique, because without incentives, we would be able to have very, very attractive APY, while at the same time we should be able to provide really low risk opportunities for those who are more conservative. And what I'm really proud to announce is that the code has been finalized today, and the smart contracts are gonna start undergoing security audit on Monday. So the operation is successful, and I hope that there is not gonna be a lot of work remaining after the audit, and we should be able to launch this product very, very soon. So that's the credit vaults. Then the ERC-4626 compatibility. For those who are not aware, ERC-4626 is a standard for tokenized vaults. So one could say that this is a USB-C of DeFi yield products. So basically, standard way to interact with the with vault or with a smart contracts that hold some tokens and generate some yield. And we believe this is going to be a game changer for all of the Web3 integrations. We've seen a lot of pain from all other protocols that were integrating TrueFi because of the interfacing, which obviously is the case not only for us but for everyone, as everyone has slightly different interface, not to mention Aave, which also have a balance changing on the token. So this is all really crazy stuff, and we think that engaging with that standard is going to help us be more present all across DeFi. And we implemented that standard for all the currently existing products in the TrueFi lending marketplace. So flexible portfolios, the portfolios as we know them today, the automated lines of credit as well. So these 2 were adjusted to the standard, and the structured credit vaults. So each tranche of structured credit vault was implemented in that standard. Then the new fee model. We want TrueFi DAO to go towards financial independence, and we want to source the revenue from fees. We completely reworked the protocol fee that is going to be charged on the funds processed by the protocol. So the fee is going to be charged on the block by block basis. We believe this is the simplest, the most powerful, and probably the most fair way to charge fees, as this also simplifies the whole situation with the goals of the protocol, as now the goal of the protocol is to maintain as large TVL as possible, while providing as much safety as possible. And this is what the protocol is being paid for. So facilitating the lending business and keeping the funds safe. And this mechanism is also going to be available for the managers. So the managers of the portfolios can of course, still charge the fees on deposits, withdrawals, or whatever they prefer, but they can also utilize the same mechanism and charge continuous fees on a block-by-block basis at the set rate. And this as well is implemented retroactively for the flexible portfolios, automated lines of credit. So the withdrawal deposit fees were by default removed from these products, and the structured credit vaults are also going to be working on this new fee model. Controllers. The next big thing that we think is really important in the protocol are controllers. So controllers are plugins that can be inserted into the sort of deposit logic, withdrawal logic, transfer logic, or sort of indirectly, but as well into the fee logic. And of course, we have the default versions of these deposit, withdrawal, or transfer controllers that are just parts of the core infrastructure. But we created a very well defined interface on how to create your own controllers. We also created a comprehensive guide on how to create these controllers, which I think is already public. If not, then I'm gonna make sure to share it. And then everyone who is interested in creating their own way of depositing funds, their own way of strategy or approach to withdrawing funds, allowing transfers or whatnot, will be able to write such a controller and modify or enhance the way TrueFi protocol works. And as well, this was retroactively implemented for the flexible portfolios, automated lines of credit, and structured credit vaults as we deliver them. And I'm also happy to share the fact that we welcomed two working, very interesting proof of concepts of deposit and withdrawal controllers by the Archblock team. So this is for us considered an external contribution, because the only interfacing that we made with the Archblock team was the guide and some conversations, and this was developed completely separate from our internal protocol efforts. And now on to what's next. So one big item on our roadmap very soon is are going to be structured index vaults, so called portfolio of portfolios. We think that these are going to be the pools or portfolios that are going to replace the OG DAO pools. And the structured index vaults basically are going to be, on the lender side, the same as the structured credit vaults. So basically 3 tranches with everything the same as there. But instead of making the loans, the manager or the smart contract or whoever is going to be responsible for managing the funds is going to be able to make investments into other TrueFi opportunities. So basically, this is going to be like a master portfolio, being able to allocate between other opportunities on TrueFi. More details on that are coming soon. There's a lot of documentation on that already done, but wasn't shared publicly yet. I think we are gonna be ready to share that very soon. And of course, as we progress with the engineering efforts, which are gonna start probably right after the delivery of the structured credit vaults in the basic version. Next, on to the elastic instruments. So we plan to implement new loan mechanism, which is going to be slightly more sophisticated than the fixed interest only loans or bullet loans that we have as of today. Not making this longer than necessary. I'm just going to say that they're most certainly going to unlock restructuring. So basically invalidating a loan and issuing a new loan, changing the terms if the manager and the borrower agree. We're going to have a collateral support, so we do not only have uncollateralized lending, but maybe under-collateralized lending as well. We're going to make some work around making the repayment schedule slightly more flexible, and we'll probably unlock loan tradability so the loans can be sold between portfolios. And more details coming soon as well. Also, we're going to be working on implementing some of the controllers. So for now, we have the default ones, which are sort of like baked into the protocol, but we see some possibilities of creating new alternative ways to make deposits, withdrawals, and whatnot. So we're going to be working on that as well in the upcoming quarter. More details soon. in the first sort of iteration, we're going to be probably focusing mostly on the institutional use cases, and hence the first one. For now, the sort of work in progress code name is Almighty Controller, but again, I would prefer to share more details on the next town hall. And the remaining two slightly smaller items, but I think very important as well. So first, the better multisig support. Multisig, of course, is a golden security standard for the whole Web3, and we need to make sure that our application and signing with Ethereum interface, so on and so forth, everything is compatible, so no one will have any problems while interacting with TrueFi using multisig. We're going to work on that. And also, we're probably going to revamp the application, so it's just better in the objective terms, but as well, we're going to emphasize focus on portfolios and probably move away even further from the original pool setup. Yeah. So summarizing, the Q4 looked like this: the structured credit vaults, the ERC-4626 compatibility, controllers, and the new fee model, and that was mostly done. The structured credit vaults are just undergoing the security audit. They're going to start undergoing security audit on Monday. And for the rest of the year, there's plenty of time to finalize that. And then there is the plan for the next quarter and some plans for more. In the meantime, I'm just going to mention that the tokenomics is also still very important piece. It's just not so concrete yet that to put it here. We still do a lot of research, and we try to think about the best possible model, but we just don't feel like this is being ready to start the development works around that just yet. That's it from the engineering and product updates. Thank you for your attention, and if anyone has any questions, then I'm super happy to answer them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that my learning from kind of doing some governance BD, whether that's Maker, Phoenix, DYDX, whoever, is that they go really fucking slow. And it's certainly slower than I could have ever expected. In the case of Maker, I'm going to assume that many of you are at least kind of high level familiar with some of the changes and, so someone, Emma, here, I think you're unmuted. Mute yourself.
Don't hear much. Go ahead.
Yeah, great. Thanks. Yeah, so some of the Maker stuff. We do have a portfolio manager now. I won't name him, but who is doing a portfolio of community and regional banks around the U.S. We have gotten him introduced at this point to all the right people at Maker, and he has had conversations there. The reality is that I think he's just not a well-known person within the community more generally. And so he has a mandate over the next couple months to, start to make himself more active on the Maker forums, get more involved, and then hopefully be able to go to them for his, MIPFIX equivalent type proposal using TrueFi as the underlying infrastructure. That was a confusing explanation, but such as Maker now sometimes. The other one I would touch on is DYDX. I think, as some of you know, we've been working on a proposal with them going back to July to move their liquidity facility where they lend to market makers over to TrueFi. We put out, I believe, 3 different governance posts with them outlining the details. And at the absolute last minute, their founder, of their centralized entity, DYDX Trading, came out with a slightly critical comment. And as such, a few more people from their core team have done so as well over the past week and a half now. I'm supposed to be talking with someone from their foundation relatively soon to see if it makes sense to keep moving forward there, but that is kind of on hold, going a little bit back and forth. The one upshot from that is that the structure of the proposal that we've proposed with DYDX seems to be very interesting to a bunch of other exchanges as well. And so we have 2 other exchanges, one focused on volatility trading, one is going to be a Stark Net perpetual futures exchange interests as well. So I do see some potential coming out of the DYDX proposal. So I will take a break there, as I often feel like I ramble for a bit.
Wait, stop if it was too long. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that. So we've gotten some coverage on all things technical, product, BD. I figured I would open up any opportunities for sort of the policy and legal committee to speak up. Michael, if you want to add any thoughts there or anything around governance, or Tyler, anything around treasury. Otherwise, I'll go to marketing and then we'll open to questions. Tyler or Michael, do you have anything to add?
Nothing.
I don't.
Yeah, nothing at a high level on the policy side. We're continuing to watch the stablecoin bills as they progress through Congress. Likely not going to see anything going to a vote this year. With midterms happening and with the runoff in Georgia, likely a lot of this stuff is getting stalled, and so we're kicking that out to next year. Continuing to work with Blockchain Association, the Chamber of Digital Commerce, and their various committees, and we'll just have to see if what, if any, fallout there is from this FTX situation on the regulatory side.
Great. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Tyler. I'll finish off with some marketing updates. I linked some notes from earlier in the month. We'll start with some of the small stuff and then kind of get into a little bigger sort of win for that came in lately. Firstly, we've been playing with a newsletter. We've maybe sent out 3 or 4 editions now, kind of a monthly roundup. We're at about 600 emails on that and hitting about 35% open rates with great click-throughs. If maybe these town halls are odd times for you, or maybe a friend who's also a true holder, but maybe doesn't have the time to sit in on some of these for an hour, and what might be there 9 or 10 p.m. or 2 a.m. Those monthly roundups are really, really solid. Biased because we write them, but I think they cover a lot of things and they're not too long. We'll send a link later on, and we do have a plan to grow that list as well. That will cover a little bit more later. We've gotten a lot of coverage in media. Now, granted, for not always great news, defaults are in fact some of the biggest news that are going to come out of our space. But we've also gotten coverage on repayments with the Wintermute repayment. The coverage has been some of the best we've ever gotten in terms of the tier of media, which to me says that all eyes are on us, and how we handle some of these default responses is going to be really important. We're talking Wall Street Journal, 3 CoinDesk stories in 1 week, Cointelegraph, the Crypt, the Block, and Bloomberg. And now we have pretty close in-house relationships with Bloomberg, with CoinDesk. We're regularly commenting with responses and framing on some of these stories now. So these are happening, well within our awareness and with comment versus just kind of a hit piece that might come out without too much education. And then besides some of the earned media, we've also been lucky to get some pretty well-priced paid media. Some of you may have seen us in Blockworks. We've got an investor guide there. We're exploring maybe doing a sort of a roundtable for lenders at a later date to sort of more appeal to the institutional side. And any bankless listeners will realize that we've been hitting your ears about, probably 9 times a week or so at our current level of sponsorship that will run all the way through the end of the year. Feels good to finally have something in with the bankless folks. Moving on, we just got a bit of a report from DeFi Dat on the Defiant, so we have a little bit extra visibility there. First time I mentioned Defiant for the year, as far as I remember. And the final thing that I'm really excited to kind of end on, as far as backwards-looking marketing updates, is we finally got our Binance Academy partnership live. There was no added cost to this. It was part of a sort of a regular sort of Binance onboarding. And we have an academy now. I put a link in there, and I might even quickly share the chat there. So I'll share my screen. Where are we on that? Screens, entire screen. Boom. Okay. And now we just got to find the right channel. Boom. Can everyone see this? Maybe a quick thumbs up or a quick information. Y'all see the Binance Academy?
Yep, we can see
cool.
it.
Great, awesome. It was a seriously labor of love, but we got two about 3-minute videos covering TrueFi from a lender side, TrueFi from a portfolio manager side, and then finally a pretty up-to-date blog post on what TrueFi is. It is reported now that 124,000 Binance members have already completed the quiz. Each of them earning about 50 cents or so, or 30 cents in True to do it. If this campaign ends up, increasing the number of True holders on Binance in a substantive way, which we'll get analytics for at the end, we might even choose to top the campaign up. It's been really solid. We get to keep the videos. The blog post is evergreen, and pretty happy with this campaign. So if you guys haven't had the chance yet, I'll drop a link in the chat. Many of you will probably already know the answers, which is a good problem to have. And you can get yourself a little extra True on Binance there. So that is all for marketing updates and community updates broadly. If there's anyone now who has things that they'd like to share with the rest of the TrueFi ecosystem here, maybe proposals, questions, etc., now is a good chance to hear about it a little bit. Granted, there are some things that will be limited to be able to answer, but no reason you can't necessarily ask. And so we'll let the chat simmer for another 2 to 7 minutes. If I don't see anything coming in, we'll wrap it up a little early. And for any DAO members, you guys are actually able to unmute yourselves at will now if you have something you want to say with voice chat.